Hey, this is awesome. I've got a special guest today. This is Adam Lowy, the founder and executive director of Move for Hunger. You guys have heard me talk about and share on social posts Move for Hunger. It's a longtime partner with CORT, near and dear to my heart. But Move for Hunger is a national nonprofit organization. They're committed to reducing food waste and fighting hunger here in the U.S. and in Canada. I'm excited, Adam, to have you on. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Pete. Thank you so much for having me today. This is exciting.
Well, good. Well, I'm excited to share your message. Let's just bring the audience up to speed. What does Move for Hunger do?
So we were founded almost 12 years ago to really figure out better ways to help individuals donate food and get that food to local food banks. The fact of the matter is there's more than 54 million Americans struggling with hunger in this country, while 40% of the food created in the US ends up in landfills. So we mobilize transportation resources, so moving companies, furniture rental companies like CORT, and many others within the industry to be able to get together, help individuals donate their food when they relocate, but also organize fun and creative food drives and food rescues to help more food end up in the hands of people that truly need it rather than in landfills.
Yeah, what a great mission, and I'm just all in. You know that, Adam. I am definitely all
We've
in.
always been all in.
So we have to look back. 2020 was a year like no other. How did that impact Move for Hunger?
2020 was hard. I mean, it brought challenges really for everybody, every individual, every family, every for-profit business and nonprofit organization like ourselves. And despite those many challenges, I am pleased to share that Move for Hunger had a record year in terms of the number of people that we were able to feed. Just over 4 million people, 4 million meals provided in 2020 alone.
Wow, 4 million. That's I would have thought it would have been way down. So with COVID-19, how did you have to you had to do things differently. So talk to me a little bit about how things changed.
Yeah, I mean, I think like many in the beginning in early spring 2020, the world just kind of stopped for a minute. Everybody went into lockdown. And as we were thinking about the things that our organization did well, we also needed to pause and figure out how do we move forward here? Because what was happening was you saw jobs basically begin to disappear as unemployment began to go on the rise. Companies and industries were shutting down, and many still are shut down today. We weren't going out organizing food drives because it wasn't necessarily safe for everyone to begin to gather. And when we were watching the news, we were seeing tons of food being left in the fields and farms and rotting. And we were watching the number of people food insecure skyrocketing. 17 million more Americans are hungry today than they were prior to the beginning of the pandemic. So we knew we had to make some changes, but we also knew that transportation, logistics was kind of that linchpin, that big piece that was making it a challenge, whether you were trying to go to the grocery store to buy, toilet paper or just chicken, you couldn't do it. The same thing was happening for the food banks and pantries on the ground, trying to get those food donations in, or trying to get food from the farm over. So we were really fortunate that, our transportation partners stepped up in some pretty significant ways. We shifted and began to starting more fresh food rescue from farmers and cleaning organizations, working really hand in hand with our food bank and pantry partners. And it was exciting to see the ways that we were able to change. We even launched some new socially distant food drives and virtual events, which we never did before, because you have to change. And my hope is at some point we'll go back to some semblance of normalcy. But I think our country's now in a version of a depression, and I think we're going to be here for a little bit.
You mentioned it, and I want to dig into a little bit more about more people are hungry today than they were 12 months ago. That's without question. Can you highlight that for me again, and what that really means? And talk to me about the kids, because that's where my heart is. That if kids are going to bed hungry every night or not sure where their next meal is going to come from tomorrow, that breaks my heart.
Absolutely. So pre-COVID, there were 34 million Americans struggling with hunger. So the idea of like, hey, we need to go back to normal. Normal wasn't good. Normal was very bad.
Right.
So,
Right.
we're at 54 million Americans struggling now. many of the people that visiting food banks today are going for the very first time in their lives. These are people that used to maybe donate to the food bank. They never thought that they'd be in this circumstance where they would find this need. I mean, so many jobs just kind of got completely wiped out over the course of this pandemic. And many of these jobs are not going to come back for a while. So it's great to see the government figuring out ways to provide some additional relief, but we know that that alone will not be enough to help people get back on their feet. And when you look at kids, their lives were disrupted in so many ways, with school going remote and figuring out how to adjust to that, not just from a learning and social interactive perspective, but many students, many young kids receive some of their only meals during the day, whether it be the free and reduced lunches, the school breakfasts. Those weren't happening. And it was great to see how many food banks and pantries began to get a little bit more innovative to offer some of those services. But there were a few months there in the beginning where no one really knew what was happening, and everyone was just trying to scramble to get food to where it needed to be. So I think we're certainly in a better place than we were when the pandemic began, but we're in a far more precarious position right now as a country than we were before COVID. So it's going to take a while to dig out of this.
Yeah, I know it's a nonprofit organization, and you're an organization and all that, but I see it more as like a movement. So just let's address just apartment, multifamily, just for a second, because that's where my heart is. The progress you've made so far, but there's so much more room we could go. I mean, there are literally thousands and thousands of apartment communities that could join this movement. Just talk to me specifically about how we've done in the apartment sector.
Yeah, absolutely. So our apartment partners, fortunately, many of them stuck with us during 2020. You know, it was a difficult year, but a lot of them have really shown that commitment to ensuring that their residents not only have the ability to donate their food when they move out, making sure that moving process is more sustainable and socially responsible, but also once it became safe to organize food drives and events again, they were doing it in record numbers. So despite not holding food drives for half the year, our apartment community partners actually delivered more food than they had in the year prior. I think almost 20,000 pounds more, so about
Wow.
15,000 more meals provided from the apartment community. We also brought on some new partners from the multifamily sector, which we're really proud about. So, you know, certainly we're very excited about CORT, but many others are beginning to kind of join us in saying, hey, you know what, this is important, and there are ways that we can get involved.
Yeah, Adam, I know you know a lot of people in our industry, but there are many people that are super passionate about this and what you're doing. The more we can connect with them, the better it's going to be. So I will give a shout out to my CORT friends and for being a big supporters of this, especially those guys out on the trucks and our sales reps that are picking up the food. They don't get the credit they deserve sometimes. But I'm going to shift gears with you a little bit here. Talk to me just a little bit. I saw your statement about Black Lives Matter. Just tell me why it was important for you to share your voice there.
Yeah, you know, in the beginning of the pandemic, we were all focused on the pandemic, and then this racial equity movement just ripped a hole in the fabric of our society, if you will. And it was always there, just under the surface, and sometimes on the surface, and not getting the recognition or the spotlight that it should have. And, you know, for us as an organization, we felt like we really had to say something, because food insecurity, hunger, is a racial equity issue. The fact of the matter is people of color, African Americans specifically, experience hunger at twice the rate of their white counterparts for so many reasons. And, you know, we couldn't just kind of sit there and be silent. So, you know, we're certainly committed to continuing to elevate the voices of people of color. We're continuing to work closely with food banking and pantry partners and other organizations that are helping to support people of color. We're looking to further diversify our teams and our board of directors. There's a number of ways and reasons our organization is trying to do more of this, not just because it's the right thing to do, but there's people struggling. So, you know, whether you're Black or you're white, I mean, food security touches everybody. However, people of color and people that were getting hit the hardest before the pandemic are getting pinched even harder now. And I think everybody needs to step up their game to figure out what more we can do to really bring light to this important issue.
Perfect segue. You must have been reading my notes, but how the audience is listening to this and wondering, well, I want to help. What can I do? So talk to me about two different things. What's your focus for 2021? But really, let's close with what we can do to help. What this audience can do to help you.
Absolutely. So again, 2020 was our most impactful year ever, feeding 4 million people. We want to add another million people to that number by the end of 2021. We're looking to shift and begin to rescue even more perishable, fresh, healthy food and get that into food banks and pantries in a way we never have been before. So working with new transportation partners, working with farms, working with the USDA, figuring out where can we capture food before it makes its way to landfill. And then really engaging our network, our movers, our multifamily partners, the associations, really getting everyone together and galvanized and saying, you know, we can do this and it's not hard. People can visit our website, they can read our year in review, and they can take action. If you're a multifamily community out there, a property management company, sign up. Let's get you involved. Let's get your properties involved. If you're a member of the industry or the supplier, join us as a partner. Help us provide the resources to individuals to do the right thing and get food to people in need. And if you're a moving company, a transportation provider, any other type of supplier, or just somebody that wants to help, please contact us. We can hold food drives, fundraisers. Eventually we'll hold special events again in person. I wholeheartedly believe it. I miss you on the road, Pete. But there are a lot of ways that people can take action. Not all of them are difficult. Not all of them mean taking money out of your wallet, but all of them will have an impact in feeding our neighbors in need.
Yeah, Adam, I'll give you a shout out to your team. You and your team are very creative. So you've mentioned a couple of times these fun events. And we think that does two things. One, it raises food, but it also raises food awareness, right? There's food insecurity out there. So it's a double benefit. So if you and your organization were thinking about how do I want to get my employees motivated and feeling passionate about something, this is a great organization to do that with, because everybody knows this is a big concern. If you're a business owner or manager and you're trying to get the word out about your product, your service, your apartment community, giving back is a cool way to do that. Giving back is cool, and nobody's cooler than Move for Hunger, Adam. I'm telling you, I've enjoyed. I've donated and spent some time and done the races, but my family, we've got more out of it than what we've given. So it's been worth every minute. So I'm going to give you the last word to close it out, but thank you for taking the time today.
Thank you, CORT, or thank you, Pete. We appreciate the partnership with CORT, with you and your family. Please visit the website, moveforhunger.org, find a way to get involved. And we're looking forward to a safer and healthier 2021.
Thank you. Moveforhunger.org. Let's do it, folks. Come on, people. Let's go. Do something. Let's go.